Time is 8:10. This is Acadiana's Morning News. Brandon Como, Bernadette Lee, and we are joined, as we usually are on Mondays, by Fox News commentator Todd Starnes. Todd, good morning.
Well, hey, guys, good morning.
Hey, are you still recovering from that Democrat debate last night?
You know, I originally thought I was watching a rerun of The Golden Girls. It threw me for a loop.
That's awesome.
Well, you're a better man than me. I watched probably about a combined 7 minutes of it. Every time I turned it on to try and get into it, I just couldn't take it, and I turned the channel.
You know what really bothered me? It was, and again, I know this is not a highbrow intellectual, but I kept getting distracted. I was annoyed by Hillary's cackle, but I was distracted by Bernie Sanders' nose hairs.
No, come on. It was bad?
And you really think that he could have trimmed those things up a little bit before going on national television?
I wonder why people never do that. That does boggle my mind. I mean, it's like, did they not notice?
Yeah, it was pretty noticeable, especially in HD, where you can actually count them individually. Some people were actually posting on Twitter. They thought he might have had, a booger. That's what they're actually writing. They asked if he had a booger hanging from him.
Oh, was there a bat in the cave?
and then there was who was not the senior citizens, but the other guy, O'Malley.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my gosh, he was so whiny.
Yeah, he did. I only saw clips, but I'm with you. He sounded very whiny.
Oh, can I have my 10 seconds, please?
I need
Pretty
it.
please.
Yeah, it's like weird.
He was kind of creepy, wasn't he?
He is kind of creepy. I completely agree with that.
It was just bizarre. Meanwhile, it's Monday, so that must mean Donald Trump has a new opinion about something. He likes Hillary. He doesn't like Hillary. He likes Ted. Ted's crazy. It's just one. It's like a tennis match.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook this morning where Trump made the comment that Cruz is all of a sudden horrible, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, y'all were buddy a few weeks ago. Now all of a sudden he's a horrible person. I mean, come on. I mean, I'll give him credit. At least he admitted during the debate that the reason why he's going after Cruz is because his poll numbers have been getting better. But there's also a bit of a hypocrisy involved in all this as well.
Called him nasty.
Yeah,
said he was the nastiest person around. It's just like, wow. You just, and again, I thought it was interesting because the Cruz campaign has been posting video from back in the 1990s when Donald Trump was BFFs with Hillary and Bill and just thought they're the greatest people and, on and on and on it goes. Look, we're a couple of weeks away from the Iowa caucus, and that's going to give us some indication of where people stand, what the voters are thinking, and then of course after the caucus we have the first primary in New Hampshire, which will give us will give us a different perspective. And I suspect, though, that we are going to go into I think that what could be the bellwether is going to be the so-called SEC primary, which is the big southern states primary. Mm-hmm. And I think at that point, we'll start to see folks dropping out.
Yeah, they're going to have to at that point because reality will have set in, I'm assuming.
It's interesting, though. Remember back when Donald Trump first jumped into the race and all the Republican establishment, they were like, oh, he's got to sign these pledges promising not to run a third party and all this kind of stuff if he gets the nomination or if he doesn't get the nomination. Well, now that he's on track to get the nomination, a lot of these same Republican establishment types are talking about how they're not going to vote for Trump.
I know. I mean, it's just huge hypocrisy, man.
I think it shows you the chaos that the Republican Party is facing. And I'll be honest with you, and I don't mean to offend folks there in Louisiana, but what happened within the Louisiana GOP ranks in the governor's race, that's a pretty good example of just how crazy things are on the national level.
Yeah, I think you're right on there.
Well, and, I was talking off the air with Moon Griffon earlier, and we kind of touched on that as well because talking about if Trump gets the nomination, how many, people may just stay home. Many Republicans may stay home, just like they did in 2012, just because they don't like him. And, that's been the problem with Republicans is they don't unite behind a candidate. Democrats, they unite behind their candidates.
Yeah, they do, and the Republicans seem to have this mentality and if they don't agree 100% with the candidate, then they won't vote for the candidate.
Yeah.
So they're going to have to get over that, or they're going to keep losing national elections.
Yeah.
And they have to keep and look, this idea of putting forward candidates who are electable, that's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Donald Trump was created by establishment Republicans. People are sick and tired of sending these guys to Washington saying they're going to do one thing, and they do the exact opposite.
Yep, you're right. I mean, it just floors people and it fires them up. They're just tired of it.
Oh yeah. And they're thinking, they're like, how could Donald Trump be any worse than what we've already got up there?
Boy, the world's changed, huh?
So Todd, and we're speaking with Fox News commentator Todd Starnes. There was some really good news that happened over the weekend. Pastor Saeed was released from being in prison for the past 3 years in Iran, and it seemed like it would never happen, and finally the news came in over the weekend.
Well, yes, certainly great news for the families, but I'm wondering what it does long term for American foreign policy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we've just announced to the rest of the world and all of those bad guys in the Middle East that we negotiate with terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
And if you kidnap an American, there's a good chance you're going to be able to get your people back, or you're going to be able to get a big check in your bank account, which is certainly what happened with Iran. Make no mistake, the Iranians cleaned up here. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, I think people need to understand that just a few days ago, that the Iranians held our American sailors at gunpoint.
Yeah.
And Bernie, I'm hearing from a lot of Navy folks, and I know that's an area close to your heart, the military.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing from a lot of sailors, veterans, who are just furious.
Yeah.
Because they're telling me that the way the government is explaining how this went down is not washing with them. I just want to know how it was that these Iranians were able to board an American vessel without a shot being fired.
That's what I wonder, too. I mean, how did it all really go down, and did we get the real truth of it all?
Well, I suspect that they were told that orders came from the Pentagon to stand down and to allow themselves to be taken hostage. My question is, who told the young commander to apologize? Who told him to do that?
Yeah. And what were the real circumstances? That's the thing. You're right. I mean, who, it boggles the mind. It does.
Well, it's troubling, and it's just so infuriating. And I don't know how your listeners felt, but when I saw those pictures of our sailors with their, on their own vessel with their hands behind their heads, on their knees, there was a sense of rage that just sort of flooded over me. Yeah. And anger. And I didn't detect that from President Obama or Secretary of State John Kerry. I didn't see that kind of anger. So I hope we get to the bottom of it, because I suspect there's more to this story. And if I was a betting man, I would say they were ordered to do what they did. Yeah. And because I can't imagine a sailor just doing that on their own volition.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, Todd, before we let you go, fellow listeners, and remind our listeners what's going on with the podcast.
Very excited. We have a brand new episode posted this morning, but they'll be out fresh every Monday. We have an amazing interview. It's a half-an-hour interview with the author Joel Rosenberg. He has a new New York Times bestseller out, The First Hostage. But Joel takes us inside what's happening with the war on terror, and he's warning us about a hybrid of radical Islam that's so dangerous, even the Al-Qaeda folks don't want to have anything to do with them.
Good Lord.
So it's called Apocalyptic Islam. You go to toddstarnes.com, click on the radio tab, and you'll see the podcast there, and it's an eye-opener.
To say the least, yeah. My goodness. I've got to go. I'm going to have to go see it today. I want to see what the deal is.
And I also give a shout-out to Community Coffee.
Oh, well, yes, of course.
Got to run, guys.
Have a good one, Todd.
Thanks
you.
Now.
Okay, bye-bye. Sure. I need to go read that and see. Mm-hmm. ISIS and ISIL.
Yes.
Were two of the topics that the Fort Polk commander was talking about at that banquet for the 82nd Airborne on Saturday night. And there were a lot of good questions from the audience about, what does it mean? What is it? Where are we really? et cetera. So I invite people to go there with Todd's thing and check it out.
Yeah, radio.foxnews.com. You can also like him on Facebook, like him on Twitter, and trust me, he's got links leading up to the interview as well, so you can go check that out for yourself. All right, KPEL News Time is coming up on 8:20.